Welcome to the Longbox Paradox, episode 25. I'm Dan, and this week we're going to be talking about two big DC titles that I've been both looking forward to and kind of sadly waiting for to end and put it out of its misery. Going to start out with the one I've been waiting for, and that would be the much-delayed Doomsday Clock number 10. Right off the bat, first thing I'll say is Gary Frank's art, even parts that seem maybe a little rushed, is phenomenal. Just his improvement over the years has been phenomenal, especially when you look at his early Gen 13 work compared to now, and it's just exceptional. Jeff Johns weaves a nice tale together. I might have to go back and read a little bit because basically I kind of forget what happened the last episode issue. Sorry, my cat was kind of getting into gear. It starts out with Carver Coleman, aka Nathaniel Dusk, and the shooting of his movie. This issue itself is very heavy with Dr. Manhattan, and we finally get a little bit of how he ended up changing the multiverse. He meets Carver Coleman after the events of Watchmen, where he says, he's going to maybe create life, go check out another universe. He ends up in the, I want to say 1930s, and right where Superman starts. And he has this weird relationship with Carver Coleman where he kind of tells him in a couple of years you're going to be the biggest star. And oversees the first appearance of Superman, the forming of the Justice Society, and we get a little bit of everything, but we also see that he starts tampering with things, moving, say the Green Lantern, the lantern that Alan Scott gets over a little bit, and keeps tampering, and then, Jonathan Kent and Ma Kent die in a car crash, and it changes Superman, and he keeps making tweaks until we finally get to the New 52. And we see a little bit of Wally as Kid Flash, kind of seeing him and almost like an antibody fighting Manhattan. Really interesting story, very intricate with what's going on and how it's affecting certain things. Johns and Frank have been working together for years on different projects, and it shows the way the storytelling in the art and Jeff Johns kind of catering his writing to the art style of Frank. As for my review of it, I wish it wasn't so far apart that the last book was fresh in my mind. This might be a phenomenal read when it hits trade, that you can just jet through everything. Still 2 more issues left to go, and who knows how delayed those are going to be. Gonna probably give this a 7. Not for any fault of the art. Just the story jumped around a little bit, and at times it's kind of checking my own history facts of the DC universe. Definitely didn't hate the book. Also, there was a big rumor this was going to tie into Heroes in Crisis. It has nothing to do with Heroes in Crisis. Read at your will without it affecting any of the books. Actually, that had nothing to do with Heroes in Crisis other than Wally West was in this. Again, it's still a strong buy for me. A little bit too much Carver Coleman, but he is a means to an end in the storytelling in this. Also kind of his tragic life in this, where I will say you should read the last note in there, which has like script pages and stuff for this Nathaniel Dusk movie. Now moving on to my hate read, I guess you can call it. Heroes in Crisis number 9 came out, wrapping up what has been a disappointing series. I'll start out right away. There's a lot of things I hate about this series and this book, but Clayman is not one of them. He is a shining star of this series, and he might be the one that's kind of also kept me, if it's on the shelf, looking at it. Again, I kind of hate read this. Just curious of how they were going to clean this up, because It was a lot of threads to kind of tie together to end this, and King didn't necessarily stick the landing. But one thing I will commend King on, he seems to know how to write Blue Beetle and Booster Gold, which it's odd that that's going to be the one thing I pick out of the series that I think he did really well. As far as writing Harley Quinn and Batgirl, not so good. So this issue is heavy on the testimonials. And good God, I'm so sick of the testimonials at this point. And some of them are very stupid. The Green Lantern ones are kind of not great. The Robin Nightwing crap is bad. But Harley, Booster, Beetle, and Batgirl, they managed to go back to the point where the Flash is gonna, Kid Flash is gonna kill from the Wally from the future is gonna get killed by Wally of the present, and honestly, it gets a little nonsensical. Ivy in this proto-plant form appears, and Harley, starts running to her. And Wally somehow manages... Oh, boy. Future Wally ends up talking down past Wally. And there's a lot of nonsense dialogue in this that happens. This series has been too messy to clean up in a pretty bow. And as I'll just spoil it right here. Wally ends up getting captured by Batman, the rest of the Justice League, and kind of turns himself in. Just this book might have had promise. There was just, it caused the bad stigmas for mental health. That alone, right from the beginning, is bad. And Tom King's dialogue still somewhat subpar. Again, Booster and Beetle were good, but that's 2 things out of 30. The series is a mess. It just flat out is. And it's weird that I see people kind of talking about Identity Crisis, kind of having the same lashing out afterward or during its publication. I don't seem to remember it, but I don't think I was online much back then when that came out. The series, boy, this issue, it has Wally being bad, and he's written badly too. My review of it probably would be a 2 out of 10, maybe 3 just because of Clayman's art. This is still in the don't buy it, don't buy the trade, avoid it. It's just not good. And if you're going to spend the money, buy Vision, buy Mr. Miracle. Just, this has been rotten. It's been downright rotten the whole time. And it's a shame that Clayman and Mitch Garrett's got dragged down in this, because it could have been so much better. And gonna dance around it a little bit, but just it is odd that something like this could go so wrong, and how were the editors just not involved in this at all? That's the weird part to me, because there's so many things in here that an editor could have gone, you know what, maybe don't do this. But thankfully, that is the end of it. I won't have to talk about this book ever again. And now I'm going to go to something I am really enjoying, and that would be Immortal Hulk 18. Al Ewing and Joe Bennett just continue to hit it out of the ballpark with this book. A lot of gamma creatures in it. Start out with Doc Samson digging himself out of Shadow Base, or what was left of it. The Hulk is kind of talking to Mr. Fix-It, or I should say Banner. Mr. Fix-It in the last issue kind of took over, and he starts writing down all his different personalities as he's on his way to Vegas. And we also get a full clear picture of the Abomination, which has a weird like Predator type mouth. Also in this we get a little bit of Betty Banner or Betty Ross, whatever she goes by now, as the Harpy, or Red Harpy actually now. this one kind of checked all the boxes of things you wanted to see. It continues to be a horror book, at least in my eyes, and pretty good battle, and there's a shocking end to what's going on with the Abomination. And I'm going to give this book an 8 out of 10. Probably one of the best Marvel books out right now. Just flat out phenomenal. So yeah, buy it. Buy the trades if you haven't been reading it. And it's going to be kind of an abbreviated episode today. I just didn't get a lot of my reading done, but I wanted to make sure I at least got these 3 knocked out. Batman, the last night, is pretty high on my list, at least today, to try and knock out. So anyway, I hope I didn't anger anybody with my review of Heroes in Crisis, just my honest take on it. And if you don't agree, I'm sorry that you feel that way. Don't let my opinion dissuade you in your love of this book. So with that being said, just like to thank everybody for watching, comment, like, subscribe, share, and happy hunting this Wednesday. Thank you and have a good night.